Alright, so this is Diesel with the people again. Alright, I'm probably going to make a couple of videos of him, mainly to promote his YouTube channel, for you guys to get his documents. Again, I've read his documents, so I do have first-hand knowledge that his documents are really good to read, even if you don't use them. They do have a bunch of Supreme Courts that you can look up on cases and all this, that, here, and there. So, anyway. This is Diesel with the People News. I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to give legal advice. Why? Because I'm not an attorney. That's why. Alright? I never look straight forward. I always look around me to be able to protect myself by any means necessary. Learn, 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 learn. Alright? Again, yeah. The more we wake up, the more we realize, the more we study, be able to protect ourselves, not bake on others, like quote-unquote attorneys, the less powers the judges actually have, because the bar union is all in cahoots with one another, and they are in conflict of interest against you. Let's go. Alright, P.S. This video's when in court. Now, some of you guys may write this down, and I don't know how to do this ping thing just yet. And I may have to learn because I'm getting more people on here. But at the present time, I don't know how to do that. So the easiest way I find things, if I can't find them, right, is I'll put in the when in court, and then this one says CPS, learn the truth, and protect your family. Type all that in all at once, and 9 times out of 10 you'll find the video. Doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. If you really go in there and nitpick it, it has an easier time finding it, since I don't know how to do the ping thing. Alright.
Hi, Al Henshaw here again, your walking constitution out here in San Francisco, California. For what that may be worth, the state or a territory, we don't know, and they don't know in Sacramento either. Not the subject of this video. We're talking about the good old child procurement syndicate here, the CPS, and what you can do about it. And we look like we have some real issues. There's structural, jurisdictional errors that we can get in there and take care of business, particularly with the writ of habeas corpus. And I have just drafted a customized habeas corpus for that purpose, especially for any case that arises in a quote-unquote state court, aka administrative tribunal, that we file in a federal district court, or what looks like one, but what will be an Article 3 federal circuit court. And now we have some real issues and some real rights, status, and standing to bring them. And all of it makes sense. I mean, can you think of anything more possibly indicative of a creator endowed inalienable right than giving birth? I mean, I can't imagine the government thinks they can license that, although they probably do, but won't admit it. But that said, I've been going over this thing called the Adoption and Safe Family Act of 1997, 8, federal law, in an area where federal law has nothing to do with anything, at least pursuant to the original intent of the framers of the Constitution. And I can't see where anything has changed. And the good news for us is it looks like, at least 5, if not 6, and maybe more members of the U.S. Supreme Court have gotten the message here. Finally, after 90 years, starting to act like an Article 3 judicial court. That means they're going to have our backs on a lot of these issues, especially with the CPS. And even if that power exists, and it doesn't, as you'll learn from getting my materials, by the way, send me an email, unincourt@gmail.com. It's absolutely stunning what you learn about this, but there's no way the federal government has any possible connection to your children. Your children, right? Now, Interesting question. So that said, we get back to what I was saying with the CPS, and the problem is, even if that power exists, and I'm not sure it would exist on the state level either, quote unquote state, maybe locally, but as a preliminary matter, to invoke the jurisdiction they think you have and summarily come and do what they call a hatch and snatch. I have a friend of mine that happened to, whose daughter was born back in May. 3 days later, they come and take her away, and my friends haven't seen her yet. But I've just gotten this writ to them to see what we can do to rectify that situation. But they can't do it, and they did this on a clearly premeditated, perjured warrant. It doesn't matter to these bastards. They think they have at least qualified judicial immunity, if not outright immunity against any and all actions. And you're going to learn a lot about that if they're dead wrong. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, and we are going to have our remedies against these bastards. And once that starts to happen, we're going to shut them down forever, which is exactly what needs to occur here with that agency and a lot of other ones. So it's just all good news for us here. But back to the problem. If the power exists, in my view, not only would it take beyond a reasonable doubt at a trial, and you never see that standard upheld by any of these black-robed bastards, but as a preliminary matter, it would seem to me it would take 2 affidavits of 2 witnesses, not government workers, and sure as hell not CPS agents, attesting to the same fact, to create at least clear and convincing evidence for preliminary action. But that never happened, and it was never planned to with these statutes we're forced to deal with these days. So this is a major big deal, and the U.S. Supreme Court's going to have our backs with what they've done in the last 2 terms and going into the 3rd one. And they're sounding again a lot like me, even while they're on vacation, having taken a couple of very interesting cases on the 14th Amendment, to which the CPS is intimately related. We'll see what happens. By the way, the YouTube video you need to watch on this is called These Little Ones by Stu Peters, S-T-E-W Peters, and you look at this video and see what's happened here. This is an example of what goes on with this crap, because nobody knows the right issues to present, and attorneys, State Bar Association attorneys, otherwise known as unregistered foreign agents of at least the City of London, will not raise any of these issues. And since you haven't gotten any more of an education than what I got back in the day, outside of Washington, D.C., in my case, for crying out loud, they didn't teach any of this stuff. Of course, the CPS might have been non-existent in that era, but nevertheless, all these administrative agencies they have, and the Supreme Court and now the 5th Circuit are coming down hard against this kind of administrative law, and they damn well should be. This is great news for all of us. So that said, get my material, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. I have a customized motion to dismiss the CPS case and a customized writ of habeas corpus to take to the federal court to remove a CPS case from a quote-unquote state court, aka administrative tribunal, who doesn't have any authority at all. So you got no judges, no courts, no juries, no injured party. What the hell is this? Where did we make a voluntary, knowing, and intelligent waiver of any of these rights, particularly in this context? It's not there, but as you'll learn, that's the reference standard for the U.S. Supreme Court to find a waiver like that, and it can't be done. That's part of my bill of particulars that you get with my document package. It's killer, 14 pages from hell. They can't answer 2 paragraphs. So I don't want to run on here too much, but you get the idea. This is a big agency, and if they make progress here, whatever applies to the CPS applies across the board. Traffic court, criminal court, family court, you name it. They all run on the same BS 14th Amendment, due process and equal protection. And as you'll learn by getting my materials, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. The 14th Amendment not only does not exist, it never has. And that's the only jurisdiction these black-robed bastards have. That said, subscribe, like the videos, get the word out, tell your friends, especially in this area. Because the sooner we get out there and start raising issues like this, the sooner they're going to have to answer them, and they don't have any answers. I've never had any of my documents even acknowledged, let alone answered, because if they do it, the official actors have now convicted themselves of treason to the Constitution on the record. And there's that pesky U.S. Supreme Court saying it again. They're going to love it. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And like I say, the sooner we act together and break up this divide and conquer BS they've been doing for 150 years, the quicker we get these bastards off our backs. Thank you.
Amen. That's all we ever wanted, right? We want to live our lives in peace and not be harassed. And every time you even raise a finger to be put in some type of extortion camp, imprisonment, right? And have to be bonded out and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. What is kidnapping, right? They kidnap and ask for ransom. What is a bond? A bond is a ransom. Your wife is in jail. They're asking for ransom to get her out because she decided to flip a cop off. Sit and think about that, y'all. Just saying. There is victims out there, and by gosh, they need the people who created victims need to go see the jail. Okay? But there's non-victims, people in jail for ransom. Peace, we the people news. Bye, y'all.